Hello Fury Warriors, Torres the Warrior here with my 6.0.2 Titan's Grip DPS guide. Now I say Titan's Grip specifically because there's a few changes that make Titan's Grip and Sigil Mind of Fury play a little bit different, mostly due to our level 45 talents, but I'll probably have another video that explains how the talents work because they do drastically change your rotation, but for this video we're just going to be using the ones I have here, so taking Furious Strikes and Bloodbath. So let's sort of go down the lineup here of our abilities and talk a little bit how we're going to use each one of them. So Bloodthirst, now like all of our abilities, its cooldown is affected by our haste, so we will be using it more often, or we can use it more often than every 4.5 seconds. We don't have those set in stone global cooldowns like we used to, where it was always Bloodthirst something something, Bloodthirst something something, with pretty much no changes except for in some very specific situations. Now we will be using Bloodthirst pretty much just if we are out of rage to do anything else, or our in-rage is about to fall off, because the main name of the game now is pretty much just keeping in-rage up 100% of the time. Raging Blow, same as before. When you can use it, use it. And then we have our Wild Strikes. Now Wild Strike is very, very different. Wild Strike used to be well, I haven't got anything else to put here, so I'll go ahead and use a Wild Strike, or it was sort of a good rage builder if you had a proc for it, so you could fit your entire rotation between Bloodthirst with Wild Strikes. Now Wild Strike is pretty much our main go-to damaging ability. So our rotation is, let's look at the damage, so it'll make more sense when I show you how much damage these things are doing. So we've got our Bloodthirst. That was 1,000 damage, non-crit. There's a 2,000 crit. Get some trinkets going here. There's a 4,500. Another 4,400. 4,400 again. So that's about how much damage. About 4,000 is how much our Bloodthirst is critting for, and we have a very high % crit chance. So they changed Bloodthirst a little bit. It used to be double crit. Now it just adds 30 crit on there, which is going to be helpful when our crit is low at the beginning of the next expansion. Right now it's probably a little bit worse than it was before, but we're having extremely high chance to crit right now anyway, so not really too big of a deal. So we've got, let's see, Bloodthirst, that was with out and in rage going, so we got 2,000 there. Alright, so we know about how much our Bloodthirst damage is going to do. Now let's look at our Raging Blow. So make sure to keep our enrage up there. 15k, 12k, 18k, 15k, so 26k. So much, much harder than our Bloodthirst. Not like, you know, just a little bit, but way, way harder. And then also the big difference here is the Wild Strikes. So Wild Strike, 14k, 14k. It's got a shorter global too, so 17k non-crit. So Wild Strike is doing lots more damage than 3 times as much even as our Bloodthirst. So hitting our Bloodthirst on cooldown, not really something we're going to be doing anymore. In fact, we're pretty much just going to be using Bloodthirst either when our enrage is about to fall off, which our enrage now lasts 8 seconds instead of 6, so you've got a little more leeway with it. And our Bloodthirst cooldown is, if you have haste, is going to be shorter than 4.5 seconds, so you're definitely not going to be using Bloodthirst on cooldown unless you're hurting for rage. So we're going to use our Bloodthirst on cooldown, or not on cooldown. Jeez, man, this is good. This is an adjustment for all of us. So now using your Bloodthirst to keep your enrage up. Also, if you don't have rage for anything else, and then you're going to use Raging Blow whenever you can, and Wild Strike to burn off all your extra rage. So the main rotation here is going to be Bloodthirst, Raging Blow if you've got it, drain your rage with Wild Strike, Bloodthirst again. You also, of course, want to be using your Stormbolt and Bloodbath on cooldown, which are the 2 talents I've taken. Again, I'm not really going to talk about the variations in them in this video. Those are just the ones I'm using right now. So another interesting thing here is Berserker Rage. It's kind of being used the same way it was at the beginning of this expansion, where it was more used to maintain our enrage and less used to get an extra Raging Blow, sort of how we are at the end of this tier now, when we've got very close to 100% crit chance. I actually did have 100% crit chance with Bloodthirst. So we're going to be using that in case our Bloodthirst doesn't crit. We're also going to be using it during Bloodbath. So we don't have the Colossus Smash window, but we do want to fit as many abilities inside of Bloodbath as we can, because it does give us that 30% extra bleed damage. So ideally we don't want to be hitting too many Bloodthirsts during the 12 seconds of our Bloodbath. So we can hit our Bloodthirst and the Bloodbath immediately afterwards, and then use all of our stuff and then hit a Berserker Rage in there instead of a Bloodthirst to sort of extend that enrage timer and get more of our heavier hitting abilities in under our Bloodbath. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like now. So we're going to hit our Battle Shout. Now Battle Shout does not gain rage anymore, so you're not going to be using it as a filler. It also lasts an hour, so you don't need to worry about putting it up again. So pretty much just Battle Shout before the fight, and then you're good to go. So let's charge in here, hit our Bloodthirst, blow our cooldowns. We hit our Berserker Rage a little too early there. We hit our Bloodthirst to keep our enrage up. So hit our Raging Blow, then drain off our rage with Wild Strikes. Then you hit our Bloodthirst before our enrage falls off. Raging Blow again, drain off our rage with Wild Strikes, keeping an eye on our rage. Now I should probably have a weak aura for that. Oh, yeah, no, weak crit, okay. Which I'll try to see if I can get some of those up for the next video. Bloodthirst, Raging Blow, drain rage with Wild Strikes, keeping an eye on your enrage time. Hit that Bloodthirst again to keep your enrage up. And that's pretty much the name of the game. Then we have our Bloodbath off cooldown here, so we're gonna Bloodthirst, hit our Bloodbath, hit our Stormbolt, drain our rage here, and before that enrage wears off, we're gonna hit our Berserker Rage, and then drain that rage with Wild Strikes again. So we got as much as we could under there. So we're doing about 16k DPS here, and that's actually, from everything I've seen so far, that's fairly standard for people in my item level, which is about, I think I'm 585, so pretty high item level. So we're hovering around 16, 17k DPS. In raids I was getting 20ish, which in LFR was a lot higher than everyone else, but again, that's LFR, and a lot of people probably haven't figured out their rotations yet. But that's what we're going to be doing. Let's go ahead and get a visual here so we can see kind of how our globals are going to go together. Okay, so let's look at just the center row right here we've got going. Which also, real quick, this add-on, this is just a bartender bar that I made real big and put up here. And the mouse glowy thing that I've got is _cursor. So for those of you interested in add-ons, that's what those are. So here we've got our Bloodthirst, our Raging Blow if it crits. We've got our Stormbolt that we want to use pretty much on cooldown, and then we've got our Wild Strikes that we're going to drain off until our enrage fades, or is about to fade. Usually when you've got about 2 seconds on the timer is a good time to hit Bloodthirst again, because that gives you enough reaction time to hit a Berserker Rage in there if it doesn't crit. So that'll keep the rotation going. Now when we have our, at the beginning here we want to pop our Bloodbath, so pretty much we Bloodthirst, then we hit our Bloodbath, we get our stuff in there, and then is what we want to do then is we've got our enrage about to wear off here, then we're going to go ahead and hit our Berserker Rage to keep that enrage going while we have our Bloodbath up, and then kind of continue on with our rotation, only using Bloodthirst if we run out of rage to do things. So again, this really only works if you've got the Furious Strikes. Again, different video with the other stuff. So that's pretty much all there is to Fury right now as far as a single target rotation goes. So maintain enrage, get as many things in there as you can, Bloodthirst only when you have to, and that's really all for single target. Multi-target real quick, pretty much the same as before. We still have our Meat Cleaver, so we can get those double. Oh, we didn't crit. That's why we didn't do it. Yeah, there we go. So we get those double hits on our Raging Blows on everything around us, and big damage with Whirlwind. So that really hasn't changed. Our cooldowns, we have simplified pretty much just Recklessness, which looks like Skull Banner used to, and it kind of combines the two. It's sort of a weaker Recklessness and a weaker Skull Banner, but just for you. So you don't have to worry about lining those up with other warriors anymore. Just use yours. It only affects you. So it's 15% crit, 10% crit damage. That's a good time to pop. That would be, you know, just after the Bloodthirst and just before the Bloodbath or anything else. You probably could pop it before the Bloodthirst, but Bloodthirst has got such a high chance to crit anyway. But it might be nice to get a guaranteed Bloodthirst crit with that Skull Banner in there. So that's that. On a side note, defensively, we have Shield Barrier now, so you can switch into defensive stance. We don't have our Shield Wall anymore, but we can burn some rage on that. That's 5,500 absorb, so it only costs about 20. It consumes up to additional 40, like it does with Prot. So we can pretty much use that as our go-to defensive. It has no cooldown. You just got to have rage for it. We also don't have Berserker Stance anymore to build rage off of damage taken, which is kind of just a quality of life thing. It was sort of a pain to have to deal with that, honestly. I mean, it was nice to get the extra damage from it, and it was fun to see how you could sort of game, you know, fights with that. But I think it's a good decision to get rid of that. So that's what you need to know to play a Fury Warrior with Titan's Grip and the talents that I showed you just now. Again, different talents, different rotations, different video. Let's go ahead and just watch some damage. Let's go ahead and see if we can do a damage run here and see what we get. Also, on a side note, I'm hitting these dummies here, the level 90s, because the Raiders training dummies are, I think, 103 now. So you will just miss them if you want to test your rotation. It won't work. So let's go ahead and get this on their way. Oh, I already screwed up. I hit my Berserker Rage at the same time. I'm used to doing that to get that double Raging Blow, which it did, so it was nice. So we're hitting our Raging Blow there. Keeping an eye on that in Rage. I really need a weak ore to track that. Bloodthirsting. Oh, and that didn't crit, so I totally just screwed myself right there. Alright, let's get that. We're back in business.